Peace talks at the White House, a dangerous hurricane churning offshore, and a new billionaire list. Plus, we'll take you inside Taylor Swift's $1.1 billion real estate holdings, explain the Olive Garden menu hack that's going viral on TikTok, and share the powerful story of two fallen officers in Utah in today's podcast extra. Here's today's trivia question. McDonald's chicken nuggets come in 4 different shapes. What are they? I'll tell you at the end of the show. It's Tuesday, August 19th. This is the Flyover Podcast. Welcome to the Flyover Podcast, taking you above the noise for an unbiased, high-altitude view of today's headlines with daily coverage that's honest and refreshing. Let's cruise the news and land the facts. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Flyover Podcast. I'm your weekday host, Ayla Brown, and the Flyover is on a roll. See what I'm talking about by going to invest.jointheflyover.com. Okay, are you ready? Let's take off with the biggest headlines of the day. President Trump welcomed Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky and several European leaders to the White House on Monday for what both sides are calling their most productive peace talks yet. A hot mic even caught President Trump telling France's President Macron that he thinks Vladimir Putin, quote, wants to make a deal. No official agreement has been reached, but the momentum is stronger than it's been in years, and President Trump says he plans to call Putin directly after the summit. Meanwhile, Hurricane Erin is still spinning dangerously offshore. It hit Category 5 strength over the weekend and remains a powerful Category 4 as it churns up the Atlantic. It isn't expected to make landfall, but it's bringing life-threatening rip currents, massive waves, and flooding up and down the East Coast. Parts of North Carolina's Outer Banks are already under evacuation orders. The National Weather Service says conditions will worsen midweek as Erin grows in size, with hazards stretching hundreds of miles from the storm center. Beachgoers are urged to stay out of the water, and currents could remain deadly through the weekend. Be safe. And if you've ever wondered who's the wealthiest in each country, a new billionaire list has the answer. Elon Musk leads globally with $342 billion thanks to Tesla's stock surge, while France's Bernard Arnault sits at number 2 with $178 billion. And India's Mukesh Ambani rounds out the top 3 at $92.5 billion. Closer to home, Rihanna represents Barbados with her $1.4 billion fortune built on music and Fenty Beauty. But you can see the full list of all of the billionaires in today's show notes. Here's what's happening in politics. Texas Democrats who fled the state for 2 weeks to block a redistricting vote have now returned, giving Republicans the numbers to push through a plan, adding 5 new GOP congressional seats. Democrats called the move retaliation after California Democrats proposed adding seats of their own, while Republicans argue it's about ensuring fair representation. In Pennsylvania, Republican State Treasurer Stacey Garrity announced she's running for governor next year against incumbent Democrat Josh Shapiro. Garrity is a retired Army colonel and former manufacturing executive who's built her brand as a fiscal watchdog, while Shapiro is expected to run on his handling of the state's economy and infrastructure projects. Next, President Trump also said he plans to sign an executive order banning both mail-in voting and electronic tabulation machines, insisting the federal government has the authority to regulate how states handle ballots. Election experts say such a move would face immediate legal challenges as states traditionally controlled their own voting systems. And in the Middle East, Hamas accepted a 60-day ceasefire deal that includes releasing 10 hostages, returning 18 bodies, and a prisoner swap. Israel hasn't formally responded yet, with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying his government still demands a full release of all hostages and that Hamas disarm completely before any final agreement. We're brought to you today by Native Path Collagen. Native Path Collagen is made with only type 1 and 3 collagen fibers, which make up 90% of the collagen in our bodies. What I love is that it's a single ingredient formula, so no fillers, no additives, no artificial sweeteners, just pure collagen that's been third-party tested for heavy metals, so you know it's safe and I know it's safe. Plus, collagen is great for your hair, nails, joints, bones, and digestion. I put it in my coffee every morning and there's no taste, no clumps, and no hassle. Over 4 million jars have sold, 8,000 five-star reviews, and they even offer a 365-day no-risk guarantee. If you want to try it for yourself, head to getnativepathcollagen.com/flyover. Once again, that's getnativepathcollagen.com/flyover, or click the link in the description below. Here are some bonus stories for listeners of the Flyover podcast that you're not going to find in the email edition. In Utah, 2 police officers were killed and a sheriff's deputy was wounded Sunday night after responding to a domestic disturbance call in Tremonton. The suspect opened fire on their patrol vehicle, also injuring the deputy's canine. A bystander eventually convinced the gunman to surrender, and he's now facing aggravated murder charges. Officials stressed how dangerous domestic calls can be, noting these officers gave their lives protecting their community. Next, Taylor Swift isn't just a music powerhouse. She's also built a real estate empire worth over $1 billion. Her collection includes 8 luxury homes, from a seaside mansion in Rhode Island to multiple New York City penthouses, a historic Beverly Hills estate, and 2 Nashville properties. Some of them have even made headlines recently, like a candle fire in one of her New York apartments and a wildfire repairs at her Los Angeles home. With the Eras Tour cementing her billionaire status, Swift continues to expand her portfolio, mixing historic charm with modern luxury. And lastly, Olive Garden fans on TikTok are buzzing over a new discovery. You can order their famous soups by the gallon through the catering menu. Did you know that? For about $30, you can choose from favorites like chicken and gnocchi, pasta e fagioli, minestrone, or zuppa Toscana. Half gallons serve 6, full gallons serve up to 12. And yes, they'll even throw in breadsticks. Who would have thought? Customers are calling it their dream come true, while Olive Garden says they're thrilled social media is shining a light on their catering options. By the way, still to come, an 18-year-old makes golf history, and new numbers show Gen Z skipping social events over money. Don't go anywhere. In finance news, Air Canada has suspended its quarterly and full-year operating results as more than 10,000 flight attendants continue a strike that began this weekend. The walkout has already disrupted travel for roughly 130,000 passengers per day, and the financial uncertainty pushed the airline to hold off reporting its numbers until there's a resolution. Canadian officials tried to mandate a return-to-work order, but the union rejected it, extending the standoff. NBC has rebranded its MSNBC cable channel to MS Now, dropping both the NBC initials and the iconic peacock logo. The move is widely seen as a way to make it easier to eventually sell off the network, which has long leaned left in its political coverage. Reaction online was swift, with critics mocking the name change as confusing and unnecessary, while supporters of the idea argue it gives the channel more independence. And a new survey highlights just how much younger generations are feeling financial strain. Nearly half of Gen Z and millennials say they've skipped big social events like weddings, concerts, or vacations because of cost. About a quarter even worry that money issues are causing them to miss out on friendships altogether. Analysts say this reflects the growing financial pressure from inflation and high living expenses paired with stagnant wages for many in these age groups. Here's your stock market update. Markets were mixed on Monday. The Nasdaq managed a small gain of 0.03%, while the S&P 500 slipped 0.01%. The Dow fell 0.08%. Bitcoin dropped 0.86%, but gold climbed 1.26% to continue its strong run. The standout mover of the day was GoodRx, which soared more than 37% after announcing it will sell Ozempic and Wegovy directly at a flat cash price of $499 a month. Here's a sports update. Yannick Sinner was forced to retire early from the Cincinnati Open final due to illness, giving Carlos Alcaraz the championship after just 23 minutes of play. Alcaraz was up 5-0 in the first set when Sinner began showing signs of severe weakness in the sweltering heat. He'd been unwell since the day before and couldn't continue. In a touching moment of sportsmanship, Alcaraz quietly wrote, "Sorry, Yannick," on the broadcast camera and consoled him afterward. Even though the win gives him his first Cincinnati title, his 22nd tour-level win, and builds momentum heading into the U.S. Open. 18-year-old Manson Howell stunned the golf world by winning the U.S. Amateur this week at the Olympic Club, becoming the youngest champion since 2009 and the third youngest ever. His dominant 7-6 win over fellow teen Jackson Harrington not only earned him a spot in the Masters U.S. Open and British Open, but also landed him on the U.S. Walker Cup team for September. And at the BMW Championship in Castle Pines, Colorado, world number one Scottie Scheffler staged a dramatic comeback, capped by an 82-foot chip-in birdie on the 17th hole, widely hailed as one of the most memorable shots of the year. It marked his fifth PGA Tour victory of 2025 and drew reactions from fans and stars alike. In college football news, the AP revealed its preseason All-American team. Once again, Texas and Penn State led with 3 selections each, and Clemson quarterback Cade Klubnik earned the top QB spot after racking up nearly 3,700 yards and 39 touchdowns last season. You can see the full list in today's show notes. And still to come, space mice, AI in the courtroom, Cambridge Dictionary stirring controversy with TikTok slang, and even an NFL shakeup with more male cheerleaders on the sidelines. In science and tech, Russia is preparing to launch the Bion-M #2 biosatellite this Wednesday, carrying 75 mice, over 1,000 fruit flies, and even plant seeds to study how living organisms react to prolonged exposure to microgravity and high radiation levels. The month-long mission aboard the Soyuz rocket aims to better understand the biological challenges of deep space travel, especially as plans for lunar bases and long-duration missions take shape. Researchers at the University of Nottingham have cracked the microbial code for fine-flavored chocolate by identifying 9 key strains that drive fruit, floral, and citrus notes. By applying this custom microbial mix to sterile cocoa beans, they've created lab-grown chocolate that consistently achieves premium flavor, paving the way for more reliable and flavorful chocolate production. And in Australia, a defense lawyer admitted to filing court documents that included AI-generated content with fabricated quotes and case citations. The mistake delayed the verdict by a day and raises serious questions about the use of AI in legal proceedings and how its misuse can derail justice. Here are some stories that you might have missed, but you definitely want to still hear about. Dubai police arrested 3 suspects just 8 hours after a $25 million pink diamond was stolen from a jeweler, using advanced AI surveillance and tracking to quickly recover the rare gemstone. The thieves lured the dealer with a phony viewing setup in a villa and had already planned to sneak the gem out of the country when officers swooped right in. The Cambridge Dictionary just added 6,000 new entries like skibbity, tradwife, and delulu, all popularized by internet culture. The editors insist they only add words with staying power, but critics are calling it a sign that English may have lost its grip on meaning. I mean, does anyone even know what delulu means? And lastly, a luxury cruise line is now offering a permanent residency package aboard the Villa Vive Odyssey. I don't know why I used an accent with that, but it's inviting travelers to live on board as it sails to 425 destinations across 147 countries over a 3.5-year loop. The all-inclusive lifestyle comes with gourmet meals, amenities, and global exploration, but it has a pretty high cost. It costs up to $1.8 million. Would you pay that money to go on a trip like that around the world? Leave a comment in the comments section. And for the 2025 season, 12 NFL teams are including male cheerleaders, a big win for inclusivity, organizers say. But the move is drawing backlash from some fans and even political figures who argue it's straying from tradition. Teams like the Vikings stress that selections are based on talent, while critics continue to push back. Here's the poll question and the results from yesterday. What is your favorite kind of chocolate? 41% said dark chocolate, 28% said milk chocolate, 21% said I love them all, 7% voted white chocolate, and 3% of you hate chocolate. You voted, I hate chocolate. Oh, how could you? And here's the poll question for today. We just talked about the NFL cheerleaders being males, or not all of them, but some of them. So today's question is, how do you feel about the NFL allowing male cheerleaders? Here are the different ways you can answer. Fine with me, I'm against it, or don't care. Now, I have a few thoughts on this. First of all, those cheerleaders barely get paid anything to entertain during the games. All of them have jobs in addition to cheering, and they put so much time in to entertain. But personally, I'm not at the games to watch the cheerleaders. I barely even notice them. So in this case, I will have to vote don't care. But what about you? I'll read the answers in tomorrow's show, and you can vote very quickly and easy by going to the show notes below. We've talked about chocolate, we've talked about food, and now is the trivia question. McDonald's Chicken McNuggets come in 4 shapes. What are they? Here's the answer. Though you may think otherwise, McNuggets are not randomly shaped pieces of chicken. They come in 4 distinct shapes. It's the boot, the bell, the bow tie, and the ball. Did you know that? I personally didn't. I have not had Chicken McNuggets since I was a kid. So I did not know the answer to that. But I will say that's it for the Flyover podcast today. If you missed the announcement yesterday, the Flyover raised $1 million in under 2 weeks. That makes us one of the fastest crowdfunding campaigns in the country. So if you missed it, don't worry. We've launched our next $1 million round with up to 10% bonus shares still available. Learn more at invest.jointheflyover.com. I'll be back tomorrow with more headlines. Until then, thanks for flying with us.